Hello everybody, welcome back to the Diesel Driven channel. It is May 31st, which means we have just passed a major deadline for the NBA draft process. This Wednesday the 28th was the deadline for which players can withdraw their name from the NBA draft process and maintain their college eligibility for the 2025-2026 season. So basically, all those guys we talked about in this video 2 weeks ago had to make a decision by this week. Are they going to stay in the draft and be done with college, or are they coming back to college and retaining their eligibility? So I guessed what a lot of these guys were going to do, so let's go back and grade my work. Okay, I'm up here now, and these were our first round locks from 2 weeks ago, and I'm happy to say I got a 100% on this. I got all 15 of these right. These were not hard decisions at all. All these guys were definitely going to go to the draft before the process started, just a formality for them. These guys are going to be major NBA contributors next year, because I think they're probably going to be 15 of the top 20 picks. It's a very American draft heavy top this year. So these guys are going to be on teams all over the league next year. You're going to hear about them playing. They were leaving. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next year, or we'll see you in the NBA next year. Okay, here was our second tier of guys, and this is where I started to go a little bit awry. I thought most of these guys were going to go to the draft, but it ended up being a 50-50 split, half going to college, half going to the league. So the guys bordered in red are returning to college. So we're going to talk about Yaxel at the end, but the other four guys kind of made sense. They were probably the bottom four ranked guys, maybe going to be first round picks, but definitely in that like 30 to 35 range is where they were going to end up. So they were probably looking at second round money. And if you look at where they are, like Alex Condon going back to the champion Florida, and another guy in this list that we'll get to, Milos Uzan going to Houston, who's going to be really good again next year, especially bringing him back. Philon and Pettifer going to their Alabama-based schools, and they're going to be the lead guards there in schools that really need them. So these guys they're going to have big roles next year, really expand themselves, probably make a good amount of money, probably $2 to $3 million for all of them, and be back right here next year, probably all going to stay in the draft. The other guys, Carter Bryant, Fleming, Will Riley, Sorber, and Danny Wolf, no real surprises there. They all went to the draft. They are mocked in the first round for the most part. Riley's probably ranked the highest. Carter Bryant was probably the most likely to come back to Arizona, but decided that he's getting mocked around 26 usually. He's probably going to stay and get that first round money. Danny Wolf, sneaky climbing up the ranks. We'll talk about these guys later, but they're going to be pretty good picks next year, those five guys. Lendeborg is a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought he was going to go to the draft. He was mocked consistently 20 to 24, and he's the kind of guy that NBA drafts love. Big guard skills, can shoot a little bit, two-way player, high motor. He's the prototypical 4 in the NBA today, and it's surprising that he decided to come back to college, because I think he would have been a top 20 pick, made good money, and be on his way to a second contract. But maybe he just wants to go to Michigan. And Dusty May showing that he is still a portal wizard, convincing Lendeborg to come back if he played a part in that. He is going to be really, really good next year. I think he's almost a lock for the Big Ten first or second team, and he's going to be a would watch guy early. Really, really good player, and probably the biggest surprise on here. But here's probably 5 guys that are going to be in the draft next year. So these guys are they're ones to watch. In the normal spot to talk about our third tier of guys that are graded to go in the very early part of the second round, probably not first rounders, but solid second rounders. So 3 of them decided to come back to college, 2 of them decided to go to the draft, and Duke got a little bit of a tough role here. Both the guys that are deciding to go to the draft came from Duke. Proctor expected that he was going to go a second round grade, but nonetheless he had done his time and he was going to go for the draft. Cedric Coward leaving them is a tough break. They paid quite a bit of money for him and were quite reliant on him. He was going to be their starting big man next year, and of course they have depth. They're Duke, but this is definitely going to hurt them a little bit, and it's surprising because he's not a first round lock. He might go in the first round. He might sneak into the back end, but there's a good chance he's going to be a second round pick. So passing up Duke for that is a little bit surprising. He's up there with Lendeborg for me, but maybe guys saw not too many big men going to get drafted this year, and they thought, maybe I can cash in. High draft pick, and who knows? But he's gonna take his talents to the league. Miles Byrd staying at San Diego State, and Adu Thero staying at Arkansas. But Boogie Fland, remember, he was in the transfer portal when he was doing this, pulled his name out of the draft, and transferred to Florida. And they are going to be very good as well next year. This is who I was talking about. Alex Condon coming back. They've got Xavier Lee and now Boogie Fland. that's a good team starting right there. So he saw that. He's going to make some serious money on that transfer right there. I know Florida's got deep pockets. He's probably pushing $3 million. And he's going to come back. If he has a good year, he's going to be gone next year. Okay, we're on to the fourth tier of guys, the ones that kind of depended on the combine, and this one is a lot of scattershot as well. So the white outlines are guys that are returning to college. The green guys are going to the league. So let's start with the guys who are going to the league. R.J. Lewis Jr. He's a little bit of a surprise. He was in the transfer portal and was probably going to be able to find a new home and quite a bit of money, but he tested well, and I guess he wanted to go into the draft now. He's ready to play NBA ball, but he's probably the lowest mocked guy in that low 40s, upper 50s range, maybe sneaking a little bit higher, but not a lock for good money at all. So I kind of assumed he would go back to a school, if not St. John's. It ended messy there, I understand, but thought he'd stay in college. Anyway, Drake Powell, the UNC freshman, there was some talk he was going to come back, but the combine, too good. He's a freshman, talented, and he wants to get his name in the draft. He might sneak into the first round. He has a chance of that just because he's measurables guy. He didn't have a great statistical year, but he's a potential draft, so he could sneak into the first round. I can see why he's going. Jameer Watkins, a little bit of a surprise. He was in the portal as well, kind of the same deal as the other ones. Thought he could make some money, but decided he's going to take a spin, go for the second round. The guys that are coming back that are going to their own school or going to their old school, Isaiah Evans, Duke, probably saw the other guys that are leaving at Duke and decided he's got some minutes to burn, so he can come back and make an impression and do this next year. Carter Knox joining Thero with John Calipari in Arkansas. That's going to be a good team next year. A lot of young talent coming together for the second year. Otega Owe coming back. He is going to be a beast in the SEC. He's built like a fire hydrant. Strong dude. If he can clean up the edges, he's going to be a first-round pick next year. He's going to be a high-usage guy for Kentucky this year. And then that's all. But then we've got the guys moving around. So PJ Haggerty, you might remember him as the $4 million man we mentioned before. Surprise, he did not get his $4 million. He got $2.5 million to go to Manhattan and play for the Wildcats. Still a pretty penny, so we can see what kind of money these guys are getting. But he's transferring. He'll play there for a year, and he'll probably do this again next year. Good decision. He was not mocked to go in the draft. Darian Williams was mocked in the back half of the second round, so he probably could have been drafted, but a long-kept secret is that he was going to visit NC State and play for Will Wade for a year. I think that's a good call. Next year he comes back, he's going to be a higher draft pick. Okay, and lastly, we have our group of guys that I said thank you for coming out, and we will see you next year in college. And I almost got it right. I just got one wrong, and that is Yannick Conan Niederhauser, who had a great NBA G League and Combine. He's 7'1" with a 7'3" wingspan, defensive force. Actually watched his last college game as he beat my Badgers in Madison to kind of hurt us before the tournament. So he's a size guy and potential draft pick. I still think he should come back for a year, but if he's going to get picked in the high 40s, which is what he's mocked, so I could say go for it if you're him. That's the only one I got it wrong. Everyone else is going to be back in college next year, as we thought, playing good ball. Nate Biddle, of course, I'm happy about John Blackwell coming back. Ruben Chinyelu, Silas Demery. I mean, a lot of guys you'll see on watch lists all year, good and bad. We talked about players and just solid guys you're going to be hearing about in college basketball next year. Everyone except Niederhauser, thanks for coming out. So that's what we got. And a little bit more guys pulled out than we thought. A little bit surprising. But I guess the money in college is just really good right now. And NBA draft guys have been saying, the back half of the second round is starting to look a little thin because there are so many guys opting to come back to college. So that may help. Some of your college seniors, like your Mark Sears, your Walter Claytons, your John Tonjes, that were mocked in the back half of the second round, they might climb up a little bit because there's so many guys pulling out. And that means college basketball is going to be even better next year. And we'll have to see how the draft shakes out. But that means we have plenty to talk about before the NBA draft. So make sure to hit that subscribe button because we have a video coming out every Saturday about different college basketball and NBA basketball stuff, kind of breaking it down like this. Simple graphics in about 10 or so, 15 minutes. So if you like this style, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Really like and appreciate it. Comment, share, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in a week for another basketball vid.